To discuss the significance of this day and patriarchy in South Africa at the moment is the Secretary General of the Not In My Name campaign, Themba Masango. He joins us on the line. Good morning, Themba. Thank you so much for your time. Father's Day, a very special moment for many, but how do you get a balance between being a father and also dealing with things like COVID-19 and then also having a good Father's Day?
Morning, Jacob. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, today is one of those Father's Days where it is really in difficult times. We've got COVID-19, as you've just mentioned, that almost 5,000 people were tested with COVID last night. And we're facing another pandemic in the country where the men of this country have seemingly waged a war against women in this nation that we're living in. And as men and as fathers, really, we have to try and make a change. You know, Thomas Sankara taught us that there is no true revolution without the liberation of women. And he further went on to say that may my eyes never see and my feet never take me to a society where half of the people are held in silence. And he said, I hear the roar of women's silence, and I sense the rumble of their storm and feel the fury of their revolt. And it's during this time that we are really, as men, perhaps should take time to reflect on our place in society and our role. And not only that, to say as fathers, let us perhaps try and change the narrative, and especially with our boy children, let us work on making sure that we are raising a generation that is not misogynistic, that is not patriarchal, but a generation that is going to say that I am my fellow human being's keeper, and I'm going to stand up against every single wrong and injustice that I see. Because as men, we can't speak on behalf of women. We don't know the pain that they're going through. But we can speak up against any form of wrong. And misogyny is very wrong. The rape culture that persists in our country, the murdering of children and women, we need to stand up against it and do our best to turn the tide and speak up against every single man who is not doing their part to see a South Africa that is free of rape, abuse, and just the evil that is perpetuating in our country at the moment.
Let's chat a bit more about hashtag Not In My Name. That campaign, what is it all about and where did it actually originate from?
Right. So Not In My Name is exactly 3 years old this year. And we started off on May, it was May the 20th, 2017. And it started off with the back of seeing a lot of injustices that are happening in our society, especially towards the women and children. And we thought to ourselves that, look, let us try and as men speak up against the issues that are just happening around us. So we see ourselves as a people's movement and as a movement that is standing up against social injustice. And the first phase of our work was definitely the work that we are doing against women and children abuse, and making sure that we have, civil society that speaks truth to power, especially in situations where a lot of people don't get to. You know, at our bar rooms, at our chisanyamas, at our, car washes, at the sports places, where we engage in perhaps not necessarily a good political way, but we engage in a truthful and a meaning way with men, because really we know who our abusers are amongst us. We know the guys that Elokshini people look up to, but we know that this guy is very toxic, and those are the guys that we need to speak up against and talk to. And the campaign has been growing, and that's why we decided to turn it into a movement. Today, it's got about 54,000 people in terms of membership, and it's a democratic movement, and we see ourselves as a voice of the voiceless majority of every gender and every race, nationality, and tribe. It's not a political party; it will never be. initiated by citizens from different walks of life. And we owe our allegiance to South Africa as a country. And, we acknowledge all people of South Africa as fellow men and members of our human race, irrespective of origin, religion. And we're against any form of hate speech, discrimination, racism, xenophobia, prejudice, injustice, especially women and children abuse. And we're really growing leaps and bounds on a daily basis. But I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes it gets to a point where you feel, is this worth it? Because every single day you are hearing and seeing a lot of this nonsense that's happening, the murdering of women, the murdering of children that we are seeing. And we really need more hands on deck to try and turn the tide around, Jacob.
Fatherhood is a full-time role, and I could imagine that a lot of fathers out there know that, but there's a bunch of men out there who probably don't look at it as a full-time role. In fact, they compare it to being the same as motherhood, for instance. What would your advice be for the fathers out there who are not playing their part as fathers, and what is the general role of a father?
If there's any man who is not wanting to play a full-time role in their children's life, is really missing out on one of the best opportunities and blessings that they can. I've got two boys myself, and they are my life. And it is a real honor and a privilege to be raising young men and to see, a piece of yourself in them every single day, and see them grow up and desire to have them to become better, than you are, is really an opportunity and a real privilege. Men should really take up not the challenge, but the honor and the joy of doing that, and really be a true, invest themselves in their young men, because that is the greatest blessing that you can have, an opportunity to actually create a South Africa tomorrow that you envision for yourself and for them. And for men who are not doing that, it's a real shame, it's a real pity, and I would encourage my brothers out there to really desire and to start playing an active role. Go to the school meetings, go to the soccer club, do the homework with the boys, take time, cook with them, ride with them, take the boy out, to the walks and to fishing, if you can. Take time to speak to these boys. And one of our flagship programs at Not In My Name is actually the Boy Child program, because we really believe that a neglected boy becomes a toxic man in the future. And when we get together with these guys and we talk, you can see the light and the hope in their eyes, and you can see that this is an opportunity to bring about real, genuine change in young lives and people. And I really want to say to Father, happy Father's Day to you, and let us continue doing the best that we can to raise genuine men, and to them to understand that it's not a sin to be a man. It's not a crime to be a masculine man. The issue is when it becomes toxic. Let us get away from that, and let's instill in our boys and our sons that we can actually make sure that we have a South Africa that we want through them in the future.
And my final question, obviously, is touching on what you mentioned earlier about gender-based violence, the role of a man when it comes to issues like gender-based violence. I think the role also includes calling out your friends or family members who are maybe guilty of being part of this gender-based violence scourge, and maybe also teaching children from a much younger age and maybe bringing it into school as well. Could that be a suggestion that works?
100%. And it is needed. We need to teach as many boy children with regards to the scourge and the pain that women go through in this country. And we need to be the people that actually do it, because women don't rape themselves. They're not the ones going around killing themselves and really killing children and so on. And it's going to take us to call one another out. And it's going to strain a lot of relationships and so on, and we need to be willing to do that. You need to call out your uncles, your fathers, your brothers, the friend, the scorer in the township, and be able able to say, I'm going to even open a case against you because of what you have done, and let the chips fall where they may. But we are not going to allow this evil scourge of gender-based violence to continue in our society, and we say not in my name to that.
All right, Themba Masango, thank you for your time. That was the Secretary General of the Not in My Name campaign, speaking to us about Father's Day, fatherhood and patriarchy in South Africa.